Insects terrarium, best in greetings from Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. Best greetings from the petri dish with insects. Today we will be talking and watching some interesting insects and their interesting unique behavior. We'll be talking about their reproduction systems, about features of reproduction, features of interesting insects which have different peculiarities, but especially what is concerning about sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Today we will be watching these interesting insects, these tiny weevils. Weevils belonging to family Curculionidae. We observe them just in petri dish for better observation, because it's quite difficult to observe insects in the nature. To observe their natural habitat, it needs to spend time just laying on the ground, sitting near the plant, observing insects in natural conditions. It's a big trouble, it's difficult. It's possible to make interesting video, interesting photos, but for a very short period of time, because insects are crawling, jumping, running, flying, and hiding away from the light and from predators, and especially from entomologists, which are trying to observe their behavior to describe unknown, unobserved interesting peculiarities of their behavior. But in captivity, somewhere in this petri dish or in special containers, in terrarium, in insectarium, with food material, with some food resources, possible to observe interesting features of behavior of insects. For that, you need to collect some insects, collect some beetles or other insects, take care about them, giving them some food and observing them in captivity very carefully, with special light, with special food, water, and of course, taking attention that insects will show their behavior just immediately for a very short period of time. Because if you do not record this feature of behavior, some insects will not repeat it again. Because if some insects started to do something, to feed, to eat, to reproduce, it's possible to record it for a very short period of time. Because insects can be eating, like here, and stop it, can be reproducing, can be mating, and stop it for a very short period of time. Here I gave them some food, some fresh plants, so they immediately started to eat it. Today we'll be talking about beetles. Which insects belonging to beetles? And what is meaning beetles and beetles? These are Latin name Coleoptera. Coleoptera, this is numerically the largest order of holometabada, largest order of insects with more than 300,000 nominal species, with about 2,000 genera. And body of beetles are usually strongly sclerotized and up to 12 centimeters long, and coloration can be from black to metallic. Here we have beetles, Weevils of family Curculionidae, with gray, with green, with golden color, with very brilliant, interesting coloration. I said about family Curculionidae. This is a family of Weevils. Weevils belonging to family Curculionidae or superfamily Curculinoidea. This is a superfamily of polyphagous beetles, Coleoptera. The adults of these beetles, they have elongate head form to form a rostrum, labrum fused, and mandibles reduced. Gallia latina fused, and forecoxal and middle coxal cavities closed. They have very special antennae, clubbed antennae, and rostrum forms a strobe or antennal scape. Curculionidae, these beetles, which are known as snout beetles, snout weevils, or just simply weevils. Curculionidae, this is a family of polyphagous beetles which form the largest family of insects, with approximately 45,000 nominal species and estimated up to more than 80,000 species in the natural conditions. Okay, some people are joining us. Today we will be watching two different species of Weevils. Majority of beetles here sitting inside. This species is named Polydrusus inustus. Polydrusus inustus. And second species, this is Eunosus ovulum. I show you how it looks like on paper. Polydrusus inustus and Eusonus ovutus. Ovulum. Eusonus ovulum. Polydrusus inustus. Snout beetles or weevils. I collected them on plant Lamium purpureum, and these are pieces of jasmine plant and pieces of Lamium purpureum plant of family Lamiaceae. Today I'm trying to show you some features of biology of these beetles, but it's not so easy because beetles, insects, they can show their behavior just for a very short period of time. They like to communicate, they like to mate, they like to communicate between males and females, between males and females, between females, but after that they will not communicate. So it's difficult to catch the moment, so we will be trying to see it. For example, this communication between two species. You see here, biggest species of beetle, this is Eusonus ovulum with yellow coloration, and small one, this is Polydrusus inustus. What they are doing? You may say they are mating. No, they are not mating, because here all species, here they are belonging to parthenogenetic species. The species number 1, Polydrusus inustus, and second one, Eusonus ovulum, they are parthenogenetic species. You see here again, communication upward between two species and between one species. Even 3 beetles, they are all together. Some males doing like that, but these are not males, these are all females. I said about their behavior, how do they reproduce? So you need to say what means reproduction for beetles, what does mean reproduction for insects, for animals. Reproduction, this is very important process. Reproduction, this is act of process through which organisms replicate themselves. Reproduction, this is a process when somatic cells reproduce their complex process involving 2 parts, mitosis, and then sex cells prepare themselves for syngamy, their process called meiosis. So this is meiosis and mitosis, 2 very important processes. Reproduction of some animals and plants may be asexual, with offspring originating from the cleavage or fusion of parent's body. But you know, this is usually not for insects. And dominant form of reproduction in plants and animals and in insects, this is sexual reproduction, which involves the union of sex cells with each parent, male and female, to produce an embryo. But here we have only females. How do they reproduce themselves? How would they replicate themselves? All these 2 species, Polydrusus eusonus, they have very special reproduction, which is named parthenogenetic reproduction. And process of reproduction parthenogenesis. Yes, really, this is process of reproduction for these two species of weevils. Parthenogenesis. This is a reproduction without fertilization, in which development of zygote from ova occurs without fertilization by the male gamete. So there is no male in this process. These two species, they have no males. But what we are doing here, how they communicate and why they do communicate themselves between females altogether. Parthenogenesis, this is a reproductive phenomenon common in some groups of arthropods, including archaea and including many orders of insects. And parthenogenetic reproduction, this is pertaining to organisms developed through processes of parthenogenesis. There are also some processes which are called as a deuterotachy, heterogony, and teletachy. But this is a special discussion about it. But today again we are watching carefully what are these beetles doing. Are they making kind of reproduction here? So you see here, they're communicating. Small weevil communicating with big one. Again, pay attention that all these beetles different, but all of them were females. Here you see here, down there, this is a beetle of one species, big one, this is Eozonosus ovulum, and these two beetles, smaller one, Polydrosus. And what we are doing, we're making kind of movement by the ovipositor. How we try to make reproduction, how we can do it. But they are females, they are not males. You can say, I do not believe you, they are males. No, it's proved by microscopic investigation and just repetition by different scientists that both of these species, big one species and small one species, they are all females. But what we are doing, why they are crawling one species on another species and making special movements, very funny movements like mating of two species. Yes, mating of two different species and mating of two females. Strange, really strange. You see here 3 females of one species and one big species of Eozonosus with yellow coloration. Even 4th specimen just trying to fight with biggest one. But here in the center, just one species, Polydrosus. You may say they are mating. No, they are not mating. Their process of reproduction is called parthenogenesis, as I said. Only parthenogenetic reproduction is characteristic for them. There are some suggestions, some proposals, some ideas what we are doing, but it's difficult to prove it because it needs special behavioral experiments. How you can prove idea what we are doing. It's possible, for example, to take some chemicals from the surface of beetles, to study them, to understand what we are doing. Maybe one female is touching to another female by ovipositor and making kind of mark, like Markov on one species on another Markov to register some territorial areas marked by pheromones or some special chemicals. But it's not so easy to take this very tiny amount of chemicals to understand their behavior and to catch this pheromone or other substance from the surface of these tiny beetles. As I said, we belong to Weevils, snout beetles, and snout beetles. These are beetles belonging to Polyphagous Coleoptera of superfamily Curculionidae. Adults, they have elongate and downwards curved head forming a special snout or rostrum with mouth parts on the distant end of a rostrum. That's why they are called Weevils, belonging to superfamily Curculionidae and family Curculionidae. Any suggestions what we are doing here, communicating between them, I accept it. You can write in comments. You can see here also two pupae, but these pupae belonging to ladybugs, family Coccinellidae. They are predators on aphids, on sucking aphids, but these beetles, they are polyphagous and they are phytophagous. They are eating some plants, some leaves, and you see here little bit damaged leaf eaten by these beetles. But my major interest in this video is communication between beetles. How do they communicate and why? They are not fighting for territory, but they are communicating between them, like here. Two beetles communicating. You may say, this is a male and female. No, no, and no. These are not male and not female. For people who just joined us, these are both females. Smaller one up there, female, and smaller and bigger one down there, also female. And female is just taking care about another female. Why? How she's doing that? Difficult to understand. And usually female is making kind of movement to lay eggs. Where do they lay eggs for this species? I collected them on plant of genus Lamium purpureum, and for egg-laying behavior we use just the upper pieces with very fresh leaves, like that, on the left part. I collected all these beetles on Lamium somewhere here, on upper leaves. Here I caught them just by fingers, one by one, to put them just to container for observation and for making this video. I mean, I didn't observe this behavior in nature, but in captivity, when many insects, many individuals are all together, it's possible to observe some unusual, or maybe usual, maybe instinctive behavior of insects. Like here, communication between two females. One female is just making curved her ovipositor and making some touches. She touches the body, touches the elytros, and even sternites of another female, like male doing with female during mating. But they're not mating because they're both females. Yeah, this is strange. You see here even some species and specimens doing it between different species, like here up where. This yellow one species, number 1, and gray one, this is number 2. How do they lay eggs? They lay eggs parthenogenetically without fertilization, without mating. All right, you can see here. Finally, last time, yesterday, we observed insects were crowding, trying to lay eggs, and here you can observe very tiny yellow spot. Yeah, this is a tiny egg. We lay eggs usually on these upper parts of leaves, like here, but not one by one, but here just only one. We're making them in packages. Female lay eggs in packages. Maybe later we'll lay more, because it needs to give them fresh leaves. Maybe this one is laying eggs too. We'll try to lay eggs just on the surface of very fresh No, this female is eating. You see, feeding on leaf. I cannot make bigger magnification. I don't have a zoom. This is maximum zoom of my camera, at least now. But you can recognize here. Yellow spot, this is an egg. Egg about size 0.5, 0.3 millimeter size. Smaller than half of millimeter. And female is making kind of package here from these leaves. Making joint leaves all together in package. And eggs must be germinating inside leaf. And you think we will eat leaves? No! After germinations, larvae of weevils will drop down, will fall down on the ground and start to live somewhere underground, feeding on roots of plants. Feeding maybe like Mycetophagous beetles, Mycetophagous larvae on some roots of plants, but it's difficult process to study and weakly studied. For instance, for this species, Polydrusus inustus, in Wikipedia I found only 2 sentences that were distributed in steppe region and forester steppe region. No data about biology. Everything what I'm talking to you, this is unique material, unique data of behavior. I'm not quite sure that this behavior even has been described in scientific publications, because difficult to explain what's going on. You see here, see, very funny movement by ovipositor. Ovipositor is making some kind of movement like lay eggs, or like mating. Like this is a male and this is female, but they are not. This female and this female. But female is making strange behavioral movement, and what means this adaptation for communication, quite difficult to understand and difficult to explain. Only suggestion that we are competing for territory, maybe one female trying to make mark on another female to avoid the coexistence in the same area. Maybe after that we are just crowding far away from each other. Something like that. But this is also an anthropomorphic explanation, because beetles were not talking with us, and to prove it, it needs to make experiments and experiments and experiments to make suggestions and to prove it with experimental approval. And for some beetles, this is also common behavior when some species can try to mate, try communicate between different species. But here, the same communication between 2 beetles, 2 weevils, but one species. This is Polydrusus inustus, family Curculanidae. For people who is joining us, we are not mating. Here. Here I made a special paper roll. Maybe some insects can lay eggs inside this paper roll. Because beetles, especially weevils, they do like to lay eggs in some hidden places. Somewhere inside, hole in the stem, between leaves, some crevices in the soil, crevices in stems, under the bark of trees, sometimes in some hidden places. So you see here, this is a phenomenon of communication between female and female of one species and female of different species. Why we are doing? This is a real miracle. That's why my video is named Love, Whistle and Rock and Roll. What means this musical behavior of these beetles is still unknown and probably has not been described yet. I will be trying to make some photos. Maybe it can be used for some specialists in our institute for some scientific explanation and description of this behavior in scientific papers. And I made paper roll to receive some eggs, because eggs are laid usually in hidden places. So you see, female is just turning her ovipositor like laying eggs. In usual situation, beetles using their ovipositor, like I will show you on the paper, making extended part of ovipositor to lay eggs. For example, you see here, beetle can put ovipositor inside crevices, like here. This is upper part of ovipositor, 6 sternite, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8 parts, segments of sternites of ovipositor. These are top of ovipositor, and this is laid egg with oval shape. For some species, ovipositor very short, and egg can be from Lixus species, Lixus genus, just rounded. Some weevils lay eggs just in soil. But here, ovipositor is inserted in some crevices to lay eggs, maybe, for example, inside plant or between leaves. I will be trying to collect in the nearest time some beetles of family Atelabidae to show them for you, because they have also interesting behavior, have interesting eggs. Atelabidae are laying eggs in some hidden places. If you have seen Atelabidae Weevils, write in comments. People today not so active. Alison Nixon, if you are still here, what country are you coming from? Velocity Delicacy, what country are you coming from? Blanca Beta, what country are you coming from? Write in comments which country are you coming from for some discussion and for contribution to promotion of this video for other users. Or maybe some people who didn't write questions in chat can indicate what country are you from. Are you from Ukraine? Are you from English-speaking country? Or maybe some other interesting areas? Don't hesitate. I said about Atelabidae, this was a special, very interesting family leaf-rolling weevils. Now it is a subfamily, but I can say a few words about them because they are very nice. Maybe if you can collect Atelabidae, you can record video about them as well. Atelabidae, leaf-rolling weevils, small family of polyphagous beetles, assigning to superfamily Curculonidae, very closely related to Rhinchitinae. Atelabidae includes some beetles of size from 2 up to 7 millimeters. These beetles are not Atelabidae. These beetles, Curculionidae, they are very small, about 5-6 millimeters size. These are not very huge weevils, quite small one. But nevertheless, they have interesting behavior, and I'm very pleased to show you them just close up, because they are usually running, crawling, hiding somewhere. They are afraid to be collected on plants. They are sitting like that on plants and feeding on plants, and if you touch the plant, they immediately fall down on the ground. They are very, very careful. It's a little bit difficult to collect beetles. You must be careful, and I collected them by fingers on the upper part of plants. They were sitting like that, on very fresh upper parts, leaves of this Lamium plant. If I lay more eggs somewhere between leaves, I will try to show them in next videos. So visit my channel from time to time and subscribe to new videos. These observations will be continued because I will change plants here and I will change population of beetles. Bringing new one, and new beetles will communicate more actively rather than old one. because if we make mark on the body of other females, maybe we will not communicate again, but maybe communicate, because if I observed this communication yesterday, we're still communicating, especially because this is strange communication between both females of one species, Polydrosus inostus, and communication between two species, which is quite unusual. I started to say about Atelabida beetles, or leaf-rolling weevils. They're very funny, very interesting, very special morphology, with very special morphology. And female of Atelabine oviposits single egg near the tip of leaf, when it cuts the leaf and rolls leaf to form a special ball in which egg is sealed. Egg is hidden somewhere inside the roll. A larva is developing inside, eating the roll of leaf, damaged by adult, by female, and they'll fall down on the ground and pupating inside the soil. Pupation occurs inside the leaf roll or inside the ground. And biology of Atelabida beetles is very diverse and weakly studied. There are special interesting parasitoids of this species, Atelabine and Curculionidae as well. If you can collect some parasitoids of weevils, welcome to cooperate, welcome to study them, welcome to describe them also as a new species of parasitoids, because these interesting weevils, they can lay eggs and they have interesting hidden larvae somewhere, hidden inside plants, inside stems and in the soil, and they have obviously a lot of parasitoids of families, superfamily Ichneumonidae and superfamily Chalcididae, Chalcid wasp, even these species. And these weevils and other weevils, they have egg parasitoids, tiny parasitic wasps, which are feeding on eggs of these interesting, unique weevils, unique beetles with hidden biology. And it's quite interesting to study them, describe them, and to make this description first for the science, and of course to publish it in scientific paper. If you can record some unique places of oviposition of weevils and leaf-rolling weevils, Atelabide or other Curculionidae, write in comments your observations. Write in comments your interesting findings, your records about parasitoids or possible parasitoids. We can discuss it. And if you can find parasitoids, welcome to cooperate between us. It will be interesting to describe new species of parasitoids in scientific paper. I'm interested in parasitoids. I'm studying parasitoids of different insects, butterflies, moths, beetles, including weevils as well. They are weekly studied globally, worldwide, and it's quite interesting to find new records of trophical relations between parasitoids and weevils. These are weevils of two species, Polydrosus inostus and Eozonos ovulum. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for consideration that you chose this channel for observation, and don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to press like under this video. If you are just hesitating to write comments in the chat, you can write your questions later under this video. And don't forget, you can be also the sponsor of this channel. If you are in Ukraine, you can use Monobank to support us via Monobank card, via Monobank bank card, or you can use button sponsor in YouTube, or you can use also web page of Patreon if you are from English speaking country, or you can understand me and you can choose Patreon for subscription and for support of my channel. Sponsorship is greatly appreciated. New video about insects, new videos about beetles and other insects are going to be done. The sooner the better. After excursion to the nature, excursion to the courtyard, grass field, bush, forest, I will be trying to be more careful about small tiny insects. If some parasitoids will be collected, I can show you parasitoids. And of course I'm trying to show you not single specimens, but more individuals, because it's more funny, more interesting, more entertaining. But of course, I hope so. This video was educational for you. If it was educational for you, it was interesting for you, press like and write comment. Thank you for being with us. As I said, subscribe. And don't forget, stand with Ukraine. Don't forget, support Ukraine. Don't forget, help Ukraine. In Ukraine, forever. Thank you for your attention. Visit my channel. You can see more interesting video, unusual stories about insect behavior, interviews with different biologists, streams, and direct online translations just from Petri dish or from laboratory, or mutual streams with scientists. They are uploaded on my channel. And don't forget, welcome to be sponsor. Sponsorship is greatly appreciated. Thank you for coming to our stream. To be continued, the sooner the better. See you soon in the next stream. Online stream translation from Kyiv, capital of Ukraine. Best entomology readings. If you like idea to be entomologist, ask your questions, ask your advices. My advices for your questions. Ask for advices. I will be pleased to communicate and discuss different entomological questions with you. See you soon. In the next 1 hour, I'm planning to make Ukrainian speaking and Russian speaking communication interview with my friend entomologist. If everything will be alright, we can make it as online stream, or I can show it later in a separate stream, communication about methods of study, methods of collecting insects. Check my video. Video is about methods of collecting, methods of study parasitic Hymenoptera will be uploaded soon on this channel. Bye bye, good luck, see you soon on my channel.